Have you ever had one of those moments where your whole body just says, "Oh, that's what freedom feels like"? Well, that was me last week, sitting at my family cottage, laptop open, snow falling, and realizing that I could actually pick up my work and go be anywhere I wanted. I was able to leave the chaos of the city and go work in a place where my nervous system felt calm. And honestly, it has taken me over 2 years to get here, since the dream of working for myself to now having this be a reality. Yes, 2 years of making this happen. If you've been chasing your own version of freedom, whether that's working for yourself, changing industries, leaving relationships, or just creating a life that feels a little bit more like you, then this episode is for you. This episode is all about reflecting on the little things that make us feel a little bit more free. Welcome back to Becoming Unbound. I'm Carly, and today I'm reflecting on the small but huge moments that showed me that I am finally living the dream that I have been working towards. I'm working where I want, when I want, and in places that support my nervous system instead of destroying it. We are also talking today about the truth that most people don't say out loud, and that this path isn't for everyone, and that choosing a different version of freedom isn't failure, and it's actually wisdom. So, if you've been wondering if you are on the right path, if these big changes are actually all worth it, then this episode is for you. So sit back, grab a cup of tea, and let's reflect on some of the biggest life changes that have gotten us to where we want to be, a lot of lessons that I've learned, and how this crazy year of 2025 has shaped up for us. Let's dive in. So as you could probably tell, I'm very obsessed with nervous system, understanding, what my body wants, peace, freedom, all these types of things. And sometimes the city does not lend itself well to that. So last week, I decided I needed to get out. The noises, the construction, the cold, it was all just getting to me. And then I realized, and I don't know why it took me so long, but I realized I could leave. And so my family has a cottage. I'm so blessed to be able to have this opportunity in my life. And so I decided to go to my cottage for a week. And this cottage is winterized. It has Wi-Fi. It's less of a cottage, more of a home on a lake. So again, so much gratitude for being able to have that. And what I realized after, reflecting on this time was like, wow, I'm finally in a place where I can pick up my laptop, grab some clothes for the week, go grocery shopping, and get everything I need to go have a wintry retreat, work retreat, away from the city, the noise, the lights, the everything, and reset my nervous system. And this was one of those really amazing moments. And there's been many amazing moments over the last year that I wanted to take the time and reflect on with you and sort of let you know how I'm feeling now in this journey of freelanceship, of entrepreneurship, of how freedom is feeling for me. And so that is what we are going to talk about today. This episode is all about that feeling in my body of when I got to the cottage and I was like, whoa, I I can do this. I can be here. I can be in this place and work and be in the place where my nervous system feels the safest. And I think maybe that's what I was kind of feeling that I needed. It's always good to change up the scenery a little bit. I'm very grateful that I get to do that. I think not everyone does get to do that. So in my world, wow, what a blessing. That's what I've been kind of waiting for. That's the level of freedom that I have been thinking about for so long. Like I hear online, oh, I've set up a business where I can work from anywhere, work here, work there. I can do any of these things. And although I've had tastes of that, it's been a friggin' year. I will tell you that, like, getting a business off the ground is not for the faint of heart. For getting, whether it's in freelance, entrepreneurship, and I know those two are seeing seemingly different. And I've kind of educated myself on that. And business owner is when you own the business and you are not so much in execution. A freelancer is literally when you freelance out your skills. So right now, I would say I am still very much in the freelancing place, and that's okay. But I'm inching closer to the ability to scale this into a business that doesn't just operate when I'm the one operating it. So that's really exciting. But these little moments of 2025 have been really, really fascinating to me. And I think it's really interesting to note that when I talk about becoming unbound, when we get guests on here that talk about their journey, it is not one that happens overnight. I'd been dreaming about this level of freedom, of being able to pack all my stuff up and just go work wherever I wanted. But I was dreaming about that 2 years ago. And it took me 2 years to finally get to that point where I felt comfortable enough and like I could take, a Friday off to prepare for the cottage, knowing that then I would work on Sunday. So, anyways, the point is that I have been kind of waiting for these moments. Again, like I said, I had little moments of this when I went to go visit my friend in Florida, but it was still like I was still like, oh my god, I don't think I can actually enjoy this because I am just working way too much. And although I did work a whole lot at the cottage, trying to prepare myself for the holiday season and get all my clients ready to go for that, I was able just to be in a place that felt safe for my nervous system and a place where I could reset, take some deep breaths, take long walks in the silence of the snowy, like winter wonderland where I was, and to, have those slow mornings and add in an extra half an hour of reading the new book that I got. And really just take my time. So that part of the reflection is like, I want everyone to know that this freedom, if you are deciding to go for this or change your life, that there's going to be really, and not that 2 years is a long time, but there's going to be long-term goals that you need to set, and that I just don't stop chasing that feeling and don't stop going after those goals, because it's not going to happen in 3 months. It's not going to happen in 6 months. I got a taste of it on 9 months, but like, here I am. Like, business launched officially in April, and things finally are feeling like, oh, I get little tastes of what it feels like to be able to work wherever I want. Now, also, I am very lucky. I don't have children or family right now, and I'm sure that my life would look very different. Now, I also wanted to talk about this is because one of the reasons that I imagined being able to have a role where I worked for myself was that eventually, for my future children, and this is again, setting those long-term goals so that eventually I can have the life that feels like my own. And again, very blessed that I got to figure this out now. But eventually I get to be at home having those slow mornings with my children, whether that's adding in a bit of homeschool. Hopefully my business will be in that phase of entrepreneurship where I have hired a team and they help things run and go. And again, long-term goals that I'm setting for myself now, and I get to feel those little feelings, but the long-term goal of being able to work from home so that I can take care of my family and really step into that a little bit more of a feminine role, versus right now I do feel I'm in that highly masculine role because I'm a little bit hustling, I'm a little bit sales call, go, 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 go. While trying to integrate some slow mornings and doing what I want when I want. Like, for example, I had a whole day of travel on Friday, getting home from the cottage. I sat down, opened my laptop, I replied to one email, but then I worked pretty much for the whole afternoon on Sunday. And so for me, these reflections are super, super important, and important to stop and celebrate and understand that although, going to my cottage for 5 days and being able just to work there the whole time doesn't feel like a huge thing, it's massive. It's a massive thing to celebrate, because that was a feeling that I had been hoping for 2 years ago, that eventually in the middle of the week, I could pack up my things and go somewhere else to work. and no one was I didn't have to ask anybody's permission. I mean, I had to talk to my family, but I could just go there. And even this week, I'm going to go visit my sister and stay with her for a little while and take care of my new nephew and just be there for 2 nights. And I get just to do that because I can pack up my computer, I can pack up all these things and go there. And I'm mobile enough in the city, and that can happen. Like, that's a feeling that I have been chasing for so long. And so that freedom to be where I want, work where I want, is so, so cool. And I just wanted to share that with you because 2025 has been a grind. It has been a hustle. It's been a lot setting up those business systems, so much back end systems, so much back end figuring out admin and like getting to know my own clients and how my systems are going to work in this business. Like, wow, there's been a lot of nights that have been me up until 11 o'clock, just like with my blue light blocking glasses on, being like, I know this is not good for my circadian rhythms. I know I want to be, off my computer by 7 o'clock, but like, that's just not the reality. And eventually, again, now that I'm like kind of understanding how if you work towards these goals, like they're going to happen if you don't give up. Eventually, I want to be able to say like, okay, by 7:30 or 7 o'clock every single night, hopefully it's 6 and I can have dinner with my family. But I want to be able to be off my computer. So these are these little things. And I hope that when I get to that point, I will also be able to celebrate that, because those little celebrations and those wins are so, so important, because the feeling that you have right now was the feeling that you've been wishing for so long. Now, the other thing is that I just had a conversation with someone, and this is really important that I wanted to share, that my journey of entrepreneurship, and I've just told you, it has been a grind. Starting a new thing, learning a new industry, it might not be for everybody, or it might not be for the circumstance that you're in. I can say that if I had a family of my own, this might not have been possible. It might have been possible. And I think that that is totally something, if you have a supportive partner, if you've got systems in place where this, you can always, like, nothing's impossible is what I'm realizing. But as a single female with nothing but a cat who relies on me, like, things have been different, and I've been able to do what I've been able to do, I think also because of the circumstances and from the people in my life that I've been able to that have been able to support me. So the other thing is that because it's a grind, and I hope I can demonstrate a bit of like the work that is involved in making things like this happen, it's also something where I want you to know that it's okay to either try this and maybe it doesn't work, or go work for another aligned business that maybe gives you a bit of a more free, flexible schedule where you could work from home some days, or maybe it's more of a co-working space where you're not like clocking in and out. And as long as you get the work done, that works. Because I had a conversation with one of the friends that actually mentored me right in the beginning of me thinking like, okay, do I want to go into social media? Do I want to go into, someone had mentioned like ads management, and that's where she worked. And she recently went back into a job, a job. And I think it's really cool because she tried the freelance experience, and she realized, as empowering as it was, there was also a level of freedom and a level of change that she just needed to not be an entrepreneur. Because I can say that this is like, you go from working 9 to 5 to working 8 to 8, basically. Your whole schedule changes, but literally it's so hard to turn off. And then on top of that, if you do want to start to scale, then you are looking at new clients. You are your own sales and marketing team. Then you're running ads. Then like, oh my goodness. And sometimes it is just easier to work for someone or work for a team where those things are already done, or you are just a piece of that system. And I just think it's really important that we realize that not everyone has to go into entrepreneurship, and getting a different job and a different scenery that suits your nervous system better might feel like the freedom you are looking for. And although I did it my way, I've interviewed lots of other people who have also gone in and done something on their own. Just want to say, like, not a warning, but like, know that it's going to be a lot of work. And it's okay if your path doesn't look like mine. And it's okay if you find another entrepreneur or a business who just has better aligned values. And, they prioritize your nervous system, or maybe, again, like I said, flexible schedules, all those types of things. These are so important. And that's why going back to those values and understanding that is really, really key. I also think it's important to note that, and I talked about this on an episode previously with Coleman, and we really dug into the idea that even if you go into entrepreneurship or freelance style things, or maybe you start a side hustle, even if you don't stay with that, although that could be a path for you and you stay with it, even if you try it out and it doesn't work, that failure or that reversible decision, like going back to a job or finding a different job, those are not failures. And those are things that are so valuable. Like that friend that I talked about, she probably learned so much about herself, about her priorities, about her values, about what she wants, the definition of freedom that she wants in her life. And she was able to shift that. And I think it's important that it's not necessarily a failure. It's just learning about who you are. And when she started, she was one person and wanted some things. And then now, a couple of years later, she's decided, you know what? I've shifted. I've changed. I do want a little bit less like chattering noise in the background of my head where I'm constantly thinking about my own business. Maybe I do want to let a team handle that stuff and maybe have some of the responsibility go to other people who are also really good at doing all those other things, because as an entrepreneur, you wear a lot of hats. Even in my role, I am an editor, I'm an admin, I'm accounting, I'm everything. I'm ads, I'm marketing, I'm social media management, there's so many things that go into it aside from just the skill that you are offering to the world or the service that you were offering to the world. And I think I've definitely stumbled over this year. That kind of leads back to the reflection part of 2025 of just understanding that figuring it all out has given me these little glimpses of freedom. And it's also shown me what the world of business and entrepreneurship is all about. And boy, oh boy, it is not for everyone. And I think it's also exactly for some people who are so ready to take it all on and maybe have, like an overwhelming drive to make something from nothing, or to offer a service to the world, or to start a podcast, or to start something that is all their own. Maybe you do start a side hustle. Maybe there's some hybrid work environment that you can find. Maybe there's a team. Maybe there's, a job that is just that lights you up, that you thought you were stuck in some old job, and you just start looking out into the job field and figuring out that, hey, I just want to shift industries. Like, that's super cool. And I think even looking back on myself, I think that could have been an option for me too. I am super happy with the way things are going now, and I can see glimpses and goals in the future that could be really, really cool. And I think that this path that I'm on is going to get me to those goals. But I also know that if this doesn't work, I'm super happy to explore other things. And I think just having an open mind and being open to different levels of freedom, and understanding that you're going to change your version of freedom. I mean, we ask this all the time on the podcast, like, what's your version of freedom? And I think it would be interesting to bring someone back on to the podcast who's changed their version of freedom. And even my version of freedom, it meant my time, my schedule, and that I'm seeing glimpses of that now. And it's also about taking days off that aren't the typical days off. There's so many different versions of this, and finding that out for yourself and having grace for yourself when that changes is super, super key. So as we wrap up, I think doing reflections of how far you've come and the small changes that you've made and hitting the goals that you set for yourself a year ago, like, don't forget to celebrate those, because we are so it's so easy to move the goalpost on ourselves and be like, and just completely forget that the goals and things that we were manifesting, last year, 6 months ago, we've done those things, and to pause and to be like, whoa, I made these big changes. I had that hard conversation. Maybe I had some new interviews in a new industry, or maybe I started to plan out a business by using, mentors or, our assistants, ChatGPT. And you've done those little things. You've maybe started to come up with a bit of a plan for yourself, or you've talked to people about it. And those things are super important to celebrate. And I think there's just such value in reflecting back on how far you've come, because if I didn't do that right now, I think I could very easily be really bogged down by feeling like I've not come far enough. And when in reality, I am feeling the freedom that I've been longing for. And that is so cool. So whether it is a couple days at my cottage or being able to go visit a friend when I want, maybe it's taking a day off on a typical weekday, but then just shifting things around. Like sometimes it feels like I don't even know what day it is. It's so cool. So that is part of the process of becoming unbound. And I hope that you take time before the end of this year, before 2025 wraps up, and, celebrate yourself and celebrate how far you've come and what conversations you've had, because that's where we can see the growth, and we prove to ourselves that change is possible through looking back and through reflecting. So my friends, thank you so much for joining me on this episode today. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend, like our channels. You can follow me on Instagram at Becoming Unbound Podcast, or if you are interested in starting your own podcast, you can follow me or DM me at Carly Butler Media, and we'll start the conversation. There is so much possible here for you, and I look forward to hearing from you and keeping this podcast going for 2026. All right, my friends, we will see you on the next episode.